Live from the area's most experienced news team, this is NBC 29 News at 10.
First tonight, Augusta County Sheriff's investigators have a suspect in custody who they say robbed a convenience store of a jar of cash meant for a fundraiser. NBC 29 was on the scene at the 7-Eleven store in Stewart's Draft shortly after this happened around 6 o'clock. The sheriff's office tells us the robber grabbed a jar of money that was sitting on the counter in the store. It was full of donations for a store employee who can't work right now and has to pay medical bills. The sheriff's office has not released the suspect's name or what charges he may face. A Waynesboro man is facing 10 felony charges related to what police call a 3.5-month con to get cash. Investigators say 24-year-old Kyrie Washington would deposit bad checks into bank accounts belonging to friends and acquaintances and then would withdraw money from those accounts. Waynesboro police say Washington bilked 13 victims out of $8,600. Washington is held without bond tonight at Middle River Regional Jail. To a developing story we're following tonight, police in Charlotte, North Carolina are preparing for a second night of protests following a mistrial in the case of the police-involved shooting and death of a black man. Police have been out there throughout the night last night. Peaceful demonstrators began getting in the area there Friday after a judge declared a mistrial of Officer Randall Carrick. Carrick was charged with the shooting death of a former Florida A&M football player, Jonathan Terrell. Protests turned disorderly after nightfall when demonstrators began taunting spectators at a baseball game and banging on the gates. One person was arrested following a scuffle with a transit officer last night. Abortion opponents protested at more than 300 Planned Parenthood clinics across the country today. This was the scene outside a Planned Parenthood facility in Richmond's West End. The goal of the protest is to create enough support to force lawmakers to cut off the organization's federal funding and eventually shut it down.
We are still going to be here for abortion.
Although some members of Congress have called for an investigation, a vote in the Senate to cut federal funding failed earlier this month. Nearly 300 people showed up to protest outside the Planned Parenthood clinic on Hydraulic Road in Albemarle County. They are outraged over the release of another undercover video accusing Planned Parenthood of harvesting organs from aborted fetuses. NBC 29's Jenna Dagenhart was there.
News.
Anti-abortion activists in Central Virginia will be back at it again September 23rd for one of their biggest events of the year. It's called 40 Days for Life.
Now we'll send it back to Matt.
Thank you, Clayton. It has been 46 years since Hurricane Camille struck Nelson County, washing away homes and lives with its rains and mudslides. Today, people from all over Central Virginia came together to remember the lives lost and to honor those who helped rebuild the county. The storm was the worst national disaster to hit the region. 27 inches of rainfall in less than 5 hours devastated Nelson County. The storm killed 125 Nelson County residents. Hundreds of homes were destroyed. Roads were washed out and covered in layers of mud and debris. Members of the Nelson County Historical Society say it's important to pass the stories of Camille along to the younger generations. People around Charlottesville are bidding farewell to a champion for equality in this community and nationwide. Civil rights leader Julian died last Saturday. The University of Virginia organized a memorial service today to honor the late professor. NBC 29's Rob Manch is here now with that story. Good evening, Rob. Thank you, Rob. Julian Bond's family invited people all across the country to honor his memory by spreading flower petals today. Dozens gathered at the Tidal Basin in Washington, D.C. to spread flower petals near the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. Among those in attendance was Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton and some voting rights supporters. In Atlanta, Georgia, flowers were released at the Martin Luther King Jr. crypt as mourners gathered to remember Bond's legacy. This historic keel-laying ceremony in Norfolk at the Navy shipyard there, that happened today, a 930-ton keel that was loaded onto what will be a new aircraft carrier named after the country's 35th president, John F. Kennedy. The significance of the ceremony is to mark the initial construction stages for the carrier, which is scheduled to set sail in the summer of 2022. Hundreds of people witnessed this historic event. As you see there, Ambassador Caroline Kennedy expressed her appreciation in a message delivered via satellite.
My father
This is the second aircraft carrier named after John F. Kennedy. The first was decommissioned in 2007 after 17 deployments. New at 10, Old Dominion University is responding to complaints about some sexually suggestive banners that welcomed freshmen to move-in weekend. Our NBC affiliate in Norfolk reports the innuendo-filled signs were hanging from a balcony on a private residence near ODU's campus. One of the banners read, "Rowdy and fun. Hope your baby girl is ready for a good time." Another said, "Freshman daughter drop off," followed by, "Go ahead and drop off mom too." ODU says it is working to have the banners taken down. The university says in a statement, "At ODU, we foster a community of respect and dignity," and these messages sickened us. A sexual assault prevention program at the University of Virginia is getting new support from beyond university grounds. Members of the Charlottesville community took part in an open house today for the Green Dot program to learn more about bystander intervention and stopping violence before it happens. The organizer challenged participants to go out of their way in the next 30 days to look out for others. The Green Dot program is planning more events like this for the fall at UVA and around Charlottesville. We'll be right back.